I'm continuing on with my December daily project with story number 2, which is all about kicking off the holiday season, my daughter and I, with our favorite movie, Noelle, on Disney Plus, along with waffles and bacon. This story coming up next on the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. Welcome back to the Victoria Marie YouTube channel, where I feature all things scrapbooking and crafting. If those are things that you enjoy, make sure you hit the subscribe button. When you do, click the bell. That way you'll be notified each and every time a new video is posted. So I'm moving along nice and slowly with my December daily project, and I'm on to story number 2. I'm going to be using some goodies from the Ali Edwards December daily kits, both 2021, I should say, along with some product from previous kits. Here I'm just going to create a simple spread, nothing too complicated, using the materials that you see here on my tray. I've got a stamp, as well as some wood veneer embellishments and a couple little stickers, layered stickers, that I'm going to use to create this spread. So in the past video, or the previous video, I started with story number 1, as well as a little intro insert. Got that all done. Now I'm moving on to story number 2. Now for this spread, I went ahead and printed my journaling on the back of this 3x8 pocket card. I'm going to call it a pocket card. That's probably not what it's called, but I'm going to call it that. Then I also just have a traditional pocket card spread. My album is 6x8, so that pocket card spread is 6x8. I also printed out the movie poster for the movie Noelle, which you can watch on Disney Plus if you have a Disney Plus subscription. Here is the typed journaling. What I did was I formatted a 3x8 block in Photoshop, typed my journaling, and then I printed on the back of that card. I also printed a couple of photos, one of my mug, of course, of our waffles and our bacon, and we celebrate with waffles because the main character, Noelle, in the movie loves waffles. It's one of her favorite things, and waffles are one of our favorite things: waffles, bacon, and hot chocolate. So we enjoy starting the holiday season with watching Noelle and eating waffles and bacon. So what I want to do is create a title on this 3x8 card, and of course my journaling is already typed on the back of the card. And there's a little bit of space by the T where I'm going to put one of those gold puffy numbers, number 2, because this is story number 2. And I'm also going to embellish it with one of the layered stickers that came with this year's collection. I'm going to use my Misty stamping tool to do my stamping on the card. Now remember, the journaling is already printed on the back, so I'm good to go. I'm going to position the stamp. It says "This Story." It does have some subtext, but I can't remember what it says under the stamp. I'm also going to take some heat emboss powder, I should say, fine powder from Tonic Studios. And then, of course, I have my heat tool. I'm going to turn that on, heat it up for a little bit, let it get nice and warm. I also put a little bit of powder there on that 3x8 card. That way, when I put my embossing powder, any excess that doesn't stick to the embossing ink will just rub right off. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp up the stamp using some embossing ink. And you can kind of see just a little bit how it's doing a clear emboss there on the card. I'm going to pull that off the sticky mat. I do like to use a sticky mat in my stamp positioning tool because it helps to keep the paper where it needs to be whenever you're stamping. And that sticky mat is from Sizzix, and it works well in the Misty. I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss the sentiment. It's going to melt that embossing powder, which, by the way, if you don't know much about embossing powder, it's just little tiny particles of plastic. And so when you heat it with a little bit of heat, it will melt. All right, so I added the number 2, and then I added a little sprig of mistletoe right above the title. Now, of course, I forget that I do want to stamp something on the back of the card. So I have the stamp. This is from Ellie Studio, I believe, or maybe it's another Ali Edwards. Nope, that's an Ali Edwards stamp from many years ago, as I've been doing this project for 8 years. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp "This Story," I believe is what this stamp says. I'm going to get everything positioned again in my Misty so I can have precision stamping. Close the door, grab that stamp. This time, I'm going to be using my Memento ink, black ink. Yep, Tuxedo black ink, and I'm going to stamp that there on the top of the card, and that's going to kind of be the lead-in to the story. I do realize it's somewhat repetitive given the fact that I have this story on the other side of the card, but I don't care. It's my album. No one's going to care. Once that's all done, this card's done. I did have to take the mistletoe off because that is a layered embellishment. I'm going to dust off any excess powder or whatnot, put that little mistletoe right there, or holly berries, whatever. And there we go. That card is good to go, and my journaling is done as well. I'm going to bring over my photos. This is going to be really simple. I'm just going to add a couple of little things here. I have a wood veneer piece and a little circle chipboard. The wood veneer piece, I believe, is probably LA Studio, the little red circle that says moments or movies, I'm sorry, that is from a very old Felicity Jane holiday kit from many years ago. It's been hanging out in my stash. And then I have a newer chipboard sticker, that heart sticker, and I want to say that says simply or simple lovely moments, I believe is what it says, simple lovely moments. I'm adding some double-sided adhesive, and those are going on the outside of my pockets, and I usually will use a strong adhesive if I'm going to adhere anything on the outside of my pockets. And in the past, the stuff has stayed on my pockets, so I'm good. And I like adding that extra bit of dimension outside the pocket. I just think it's fantastic. And then on the back, I just added this little card. Nothing major there on the back, and I'm going to call this spread done. I'm going to pop it right into my album. And one of the things that I made sure to journal about is that as my daughter gets older, while she loves these traditions, she's not always as excited for it as she used to be when she was little. But this particular tradition, she definitely was. So I'm just holding on to that little bits of her childhood as she's entering into her teen years. We're solidly in the tween years right now. And I just love documenting it. This is going to be great to look back on in the future to see how our traditions change and evolve over the years as she gets older. So there we go, story number 2 in the books. Make sure you head on over to the Victoria Marie blog. You can see stills of this spread as well as stills of story number 1. And stay tuned. I'll be bringing you more of this process throughout the month of December going into January. Before you go, make sure that you subscribe here to the channel. When you do, click the bell indicator. That way you'll be notified each and every time new content is posted. I'll see you in the next one.